At 20, matchmakers began flooding my home. Yet, by 25, I remained unmarried. Today, another matchmaker arrived. Clutching my handkerchief, I eavesdropped behind the door. It's the third son from Zhang Shuqing's family. The young master's character and family standing need no extra praise from me. Madam, please give it some serious thought. Zhang, the third son? Zhang Huijin? Mother, even the pancake seller on the street would do. But that man, he absolutely cannot be Zhang Huijin. I scrambled and rushed to my mother's side. I grabbed her waist and shook her frantically. My mother stared at me, completely startled. After all, even Wang the pockmarked, a dark-faced official with 4 children, would be better, but my mother didn't know I had set my sights on Zhang Huijin since I was 20. Since then, every year, from the little I earned, I'd save up to buy peach blossom paper, specifically to write him love letters. Unfortunately, for 4 whole years, he never replied with a single word. Then, out of nowhere, 6 months ago, I received half a scrap of paper from him. Is the lady ill? If so, better seek a cure sooner than later. He was asking if I was sick. If sick, get treated, and if not sick? If not sick, then get lost, right? After sending the matchmaker away, my mother leaned back on the couch. I hunched my shoulders, clutching my handkerchief, and quietly edged toward the door. Yun Shu, if you weren't my own flesh and blood, I'd strangle you today. Before he died, my father was the Minister of Revenue. After his passing, he was just my father. The Yun family never had deep roots in the capital. Once father died, the influence vanished instantly. To make matters worse, my father was foolish in life. He married a flock of concubines and sired a horde of children. Every single one needed to be fed, never mind the dowries for those getting married, or the bride prices for the sons. My mother was soft-hearted. She couldn't bring herself to sell off her children. Our family's life became quite strained. And so, my marriage was delayed again and again. Until my brother, who serves at the Imperial Academy, brought home a new sister-in-law. Suddenly, our house was bustling with life again. Even the people coming to propose increased. You worthless girl. If it weren't for your sister-in-law's connections, would a catch like Zhang the third son ever look at you? Think about those who proposed before. They either wanted you as a concubine for some playboy, or as a wife for some destitute failure. None of them were respectable families. After all that struggle, your marriage has been delayed until now. Now a talent like Zhang the third son is willing to marry you. And you actually dare to refuse? Tell your mother this. Exactly what kind of man are you looking for? Do you intend to become a nun in the mountains? I fiddled with my handkerchief, and in a muffled voice, confessed about the peach blossom paper I used to secretly write love letters to Zhang Huijin. As for what was in the letters, I recited a few passages I thought were particularly poetic. After my mother heard me, she clutched her chest with both hands. For a long time, she couldn't utter a word. Yun Shu, I really will kill you today. My mother gasped for air for a while, then grabbed a soft pillow and threw it. Tell me honestly, what on earth did you write? Can work hard but absolutely cannot wake up early? What if your beautiful face is ruined by lack of sleep? And I am so beautiful. Why haven't you come to see me? Even a casual glance would do? You think you're beautiful? I think your only beauty is in that mouth of yours that talks nonsense. I could tolerate your lack of education, but you had to go out and show it off. Never mind marrying into the Zhang family. Your mother is too ashamed to show her face anywhere. My mother grabbed a teacup within reach. With perfect aim, it hit me square on the forehead. With a thud, I collapsed to the floor, and conveniently feigned a faint. My sister-in-law came to see me. I had a plaster stuck on my forehead. I looked quite ridiculous. I stared blankly at the bed curtains. What happened to our little Yao Yao? Quick. Let me see. This truly breaks my heart. Yao Yao was my childhood nickname, because I was the child of my father's later years, and the youngest in the family, a little girl, so my father gave me that nickname. My sister-in-law held my head, inspecting it. Which family's elder sister are you? She was startled. She repeatedly told Chunying to fetch a doctor. I grabbed her hand tightly. Tears of grievance and regret fell. Grievance because I got hit. Regret because I was so foolish. Sister-in-law, go tell mother that the teacup hit me into amnesia. Ask her to spread the word. The business of the letters to Zhang Huijin. We must pretend it never happened. That's the only way to save mother's dignity. She covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. But her laughter only grew louder. I looked away silently. I didn't want to talk to her at all. What did you actually see in Zhang Huijin? His mouth is like it's laced with poison. A mere low-ranking censor. Loyal but snaps at everyone. The veteran ministers in court. All take a detour just to avoid him. Among them is his own father, the vice minister of the court of state ceremonies. Not to mention his 2 domineering sisters. With your clumsy tongue. If you married in, wouldn't his family bully you to death? And you even saved your allowance to buy paper for letters? You'd have been better off buying another bowl of cold jelly. Wait. So Zhang Huijin is such a menace in the eyes of others? The summer I was 13 was unbearably hot. The kind of weather where even dogs leave their tongues out. We had no money for ice, and my fourth sister's wedding was near. My grandmother was being difficult and stubborn. She cursed my mother, but it was useless. Seeing the mahogany cane about to strike my mother's back, I snatched the cane from my grandmother's hands. I threw it straight away. My grandmother fainted from anger on the spot. When she woke, she sent her personal maid to fetch the granduncle to back her up. I was punished by being made to kneel in her courtyard. The sun beat down on me that day. Sweat soaked my clothes. The sun scorched my back. I was blocked in the yard by the servants brought by the granduncle. I could do nothing but cry incessantly. The only person who could save me, my elder brother, was far away at an academy 1,000 miles away. I thought I was going to die of heat stroke that day. Are you going to let her bake there forever? That seems quite unreasonable, doesn't it? Grandfather, your actions are far too biased. I lifted my heavy head. I only saw a youth in a green robe. The granduncle gave him a stern scolding. He called for a maid to help me up. In doing so, he saved my life. From that moment on, I remembered him completely. His grandfather was my grandmother's elder brother. And my grandmother was actually my grandfather's second wife. Technically, there was no blood relation between us. Yet he reached out and saved me. I stayed in bed for over 10 days. I had narrowly escaped death. My mother took me to the Zhang residence to give thanks. That was the first time I saw him properly. He was still wearing a clean green robe. He looked exceptionally refreshing in the furnace-like summer. He was holding a small local puppy. He was tall and lean. His face was fair and clear. "Why, Jean, why did you bring home another dog?" His mother questioned him with dissatisfaction. "Its leg was broken by someone. I'll have the household doctor look at it," he replied coldly. His cold gaze then rested on me. Not sure what it was hit by. Shattered into pieces. He then politely bowed to my mother. And to me, then left. Others give birth to sons. I've given birth to an ancestor. It's fine that he's quiet. But whenever he speaks, he can literally irritate people to death. His mother chatted with mine. But I was staring blankly at that elegant silhouette of his. My heart had completely fallen for him. Then, my grandmother didn't survive the autumn and passed away. Rumors spread everywhere that I had angered the old lady to death. The people who came to propose were all shady characters. Later, as I grew older, none of the men I met seemed right. I always felt Zhang Huijin was the most perfect. My sister-in-law finished laughing. After some small talk, she left. But I only remembered this one thing. In 10 days, her aunt would host a spring banquet. She would ask her aunt to find me a very good match. Her aunt is the Princess Royal. When my mother heard she would ask the Princess Royal to act as a matchmaker, her head stopped aching. Her back stopped hurting. She didn't look at me with a long face anymore. She even hired a tailor to measure me. She searched through her trunks, and from her old dowry, found a set of pink crystal jewelry. As for my claim of amnesia from being hit, she didn't care at all. As long as I wasn't actually stupid, it was fine. Early on the morning of March 18th, my sister-in-law dragged me to the event. It was held at a manor in the suburbs. The entrance was crowded with carriages. It was even livelier than a marketplace. I followed my sister-in-law with a stiff face. Whoever she told me to greet, I would grin and greet. After one full round, I felt like my front teeth were catching the wind. I didn't want to show them ever again. The situation was making me crack. She led me to see the Princess Royal. Though the princess was older, she was still stunningly beautiful. She called me forward. She inspected me very carefully. No matter how foolish I was, I knew I couldn't be rude to the Princess Royal. So I showed my wind-catching teeth again. I really didn't expect her to be such a beauty. The Princess Royal remarked to my sister-in-law. Beauty is secondary. The key is her gentle personality. You must find our Yunshu a good match. My sister-in-law affectionately shook the princess's arm. Gentle personality? Only yesterday she said I was stiff on the outside and wild on the inside. How did she forget that so quickly? I couldn't exactly brag about myself, though. Rest assured. Your aunt will handle this red thread perfectly. The princess's manor was filled with flowers. She looked after them with great care. There were blossoms everywhere, clusters of color. I stared for a bit, feeling dizzy. I found the pavilion my sister-in-law mentioned. I sat down to eat some pastries. The Princess Royal was indeed meticulous. The pastries were exactly to my taste. I squinted and nibbled on snacks. Chunying hid behind a pillar, watching the young men chasing girls in the flowers. Too fat, too dark, too skinny, looks weak. She didn't say much, but every word was biting. I secretly stuffed a pastry into her hand. She had just taken it, and hadn't even had time to eat it, when she quickly lowered her hands. She stood beside me obediently, as well-behaved as could be. I continued eating slowly. The man who entered the pavilion was 9 feet tall. Luckily, he wasn't fat. He wore a white wide-sleeved robe, probably trying to look scholarly. Pity his skin was a bit too dark. His features weren't refined enough. I stood up to greet him. He returned the gesture stiffly. He sat down directly opposite me. His movements were a bit too forceful. His robe almost flew over his head. I looked down, pretending not to notice. Chen quickly served him tea. I assume the princess mentioned me to you? She said a few things. Like his name is Zhou Su. A successful candidate from the 17th class. Currently a 6th rank captain. Serving under Chenambua. Highly valued by the Earl. He has a widowed mother at home. And a younger sister. A common family with a clean background. He continued after I acknowledged him. The moment I saw you, I felt a special connection. My father died when I was 10. My mother suffered greatly. To raise me and my sister. Now that I've finally succeeded. Naturally, I must repay her. As they say, seek a virtuous wife. Once you become the mistress of our house, you must be completely obedient to my mother. Filial and hardworking. Pay your respects morning and night. My little sister has been pampered since childhood. Her temper is a bit short. As her sister-in-law, you must be very tolerant. While he paused to drink water, I looked up and countered. I think you are absolutely right, sir. So, let me wish you in advance that you find your ideal wife soon. He held his tea bowl and stared at me with his mouth open, as if he'd been hit by an unbelievable shock. What do you mean, miss? The words you just spoke, sir, could be published and sold in a bookstore. You might earn more than you do at your job. The title should be, How to be the Perfect All-Purpose Maid. What do you think, sir? A cold sneer escaped my lips. I straightened my back and stared at Zhou Su. He slammed the teacup onto the stone table. The cup cracked instantly. What exactly do you mean by that? Didn't you understand, sir? His face turned bright red. No wonder you're still unmarried at 25. So sharp-tongued. I'd like to see who would ever dare to marry you. In my mind, I immediately drew a big red X over his forehead. This man is absolutely disappointing. Then please don't trouble yourself over it. At worst, my sister-in-law will donate more to the temple. And I can go to a nunnery. To be a nun who doesn't worry about food or drink. Zhou Su was fuming with rage. He flicked his sleeves and stormed off, likely cursing under his breath. As soon as he left, Chen Ying collapsed on the table, laughing hysterically. I ignored her. I stood up calmly, looking at the weeping crabapple tree in the distance. The crabapple flowers are perfect for a spring dream. Then came 2 more blind dates. How have you been lately, sir? That slightly pale, powdered face instantly turned beet red. Songyu lives in the yard next to mine. A very introverted and good girl. A while ago, she was chatting with me over the garden fence. Her father had arranged a marriage for her, with the son of Lord Zhou. What a coincidence, this blushing young master happened to be that very 5th son. The 5th son quickly covered his face with his sleeve and ran away. Miss, with your attitude, it's going to be very hard to get married. Chen Ying shook her head. She let out a sigh. Then I'll just go up the mountain and be a nun. You'll have to cut your hair. And follow me. Chen Ying immediately burst into tears. Miss, have mercy. Before I could reply to her, Chen Ying ran off like a rabbit. What do you call this? A personal maid? Chen Ying hid behind a flowering tree, pointing her finger behind me. My heart skipped a beat. I vaguely guessed the truth about those letters. Chen Ying must have secretly given them to Zhang Huijin's page. That page doesn't know me. But he definitely knows Chen Ying. And currently, I'm supposed to have a head injury. And have forgotten everything from the past. If she runs away, there's no proof. Truly a good maid. I squared my shoulders, and stared stubbornly into the distance. Refusing to turn around, the footsteps behind me were very light. They stopped right by the table. Would the master like some tea? That page boy's voice sounds worse than a duck. Except for seeing him from afar at 20. Any further look at him was just a glimpse. I had been hiding everywhere. He always looked straight ahead, with a keep-away attitude. Most of the time, I was just staring at a blurry silhouette. Dazed, while Chen Ying watched the bottom. He's skilled in both letters and martial arts. Sharp ears and keen eyes. If I got too close, I was afraid he'd see through me. If he gave me another harsh word like back then. Should I get lost or not? So, unrequited love has its benefits. You might be sad and hopeless, but you don't lose face. Miss. The page called me again in that duck-like voice. I rolled my eyes, frustrated by his lack of tact. Just serve your master. Why are you calling me? I'm not having tea or pastries. My master is here to return your love letters. The wind grew stronger. The flowers lost their scent. My skirt and long hair flew wildly in the wind. I thought the page boy didn't know me. I cried buckets of tears internally, knowing that playing dead wouldn't work. I could only bite the bullet and turn around. I forced a smile that looked worse than crying. I folded my hands in greeting, giving Zhang Huijin a proper bow. Greetings, young master. He rose slowly, clasped his hands, and bowed back. Politely. Greetings to you, miss. I glanced at the page boy. The bundle he was carrying was massive. Could those be all the letters I wrote over the years? A drop of cold sweat ran from my forehead down my neck. How am I supposed to survive this? I'd honestly rather just fall over and play dead. Unfortunately, this unlucky body of mine is far too healthy. May I ask who you are, sir? I feigned a look of innocence. looking at Zhang Huijing with pure, curious eyes. He's so smart. He must realize I'm just a simple, innocent girl, right? Zhang Huijing raised an eyebrow. His dark eyes were like scattered starlight. His lips parted slightly, as if he was surprised. My mother hit me with a teacup. I can't remember many things from before. Between being truly foolish and feigning madness to you, there is no difference. Since you've forgotten, miss, would you like me to tell you about our past? He took a sip of tea. His lashes seemed to hold the essence of spring. I looked closer. On his high nose, there was actually a small mole. His skin was fair. His eyes were long and narrow. His jawline was perfect. His neck was elegant. His chest didn't look frail at all. His knuckles were well defined. His fingers were long, narrow waist and long legs. For a moment, I was completely dazed. His gaze darkened. I was overcome with shame. The corner of his mouth twitched. He smiled. Last night's heavy rain felt like a grand dream. I woke up drenched in sweat. In the dream, the young master's robes were half open. Very pleasing to the eye. I looked like a madman. I lunged forward and covered his mouth with my sleeve. Afraid he would read more of those explicit lines. I bit my lip and glared at him. So ashamed I was on the verge of tears. He reached out and pulled my sleeve away, slowly toying with it in his palm. He wrinkled my sleeve. And he flustered my heart. I didn't forget. I shook my head. I didn't dare forget. I heard people say you'd rather marry Wang Ermotzi the pancake seller than even call my name? I stammered, not daring to speak. Why is this guy so difficult to deal with? He's also here for a blind date today. I saw those 3 young masters were all red in the face. What happened? Why did they run off? I tried to turn away quietly, wanting to pull my sleeve from his grip. But he held on tight and wouldn't let go. They thought I was ugly. I just made it up on the fly. Oh? Didn't you tell them? You are extremely beautiful. They should have looked much closer. The conversation was going nowhere. I decided to go home and marry Wang Ermotzi. I turned my head away, not wanting to talk to him at all. I remained silent. I think you are very beautiful. Anyone who says you're ugly is blind. I have something to say. I handed him a pastry. What's your name? Zhang Huijing told Feng Chong to give me the bundle. Feng Chong placed the bundle on my lap. I held it in my arms. For some reason, my eyes felt hot. He had returned all my love letters. Holding the bundle in my arms, it felt like my own heavy heart. It's actually fine that he didn't reply. Pretending not to know. I'm already 25. I can't spend my whole life longing for someone I'll never have. Becoming a nun was just talk out of spite. I'll have to marry eventually. For my mother's sake, I have to. My elder brother is married. And his wife is wonderful. His career is thriving. My older sisters have all married out. The other 2 brothers have started their own families. Since my father passed away, the concubines who couldn't stay have all left. Everyone except for me, who can't get married. My mother is content with everything else. She gave birth to me when she was 33. She nearly lost her life giving birth to me. I can't break her heart anymore. I'm also here for a blind date today. That girl was very satisfied with me. He said it coolly. I didn't look back. I walked deeper into the flowers, clutching the bundle. Damn spring. Cats and dogs are in heat. And men want to get married. I wiped the tears from my face. I stomped my feet. Is your forehead a racetrack? Which girl could have liked you at first sight? I turned and shouted at him. He was stunned, lowering his head. His shoulders shaking. I turned and ran, scattering countless blossoms. I won't even mention how exhausted I was that day. On the carriage home, my sister-in-law asked how the date went. They're all paragons of virtue. They all want to ascend to heaven. My sister-in-law's eyes widened. Then she burst out laughing. At home, my mother asked, and I gave the same answer. I think you're the one about to ascend. My mother grabbed a stick and chased me around the yard 3 times. In the end, I was locked in my room again. My mother gave the door a hard kick. She's getting older. And her temper is getting more explosive. The sun was so bright during the day, yet it rained at night. I was slumped at my desk copying books. This is how I earn my living. I've been mischievous since I was a child, and I could never sit still. My father made me practice calligraphy every day after work, trying to temper my personality. I don't have many skills, but my handwriting is decent. Since my father passed away, I've been taking copying jobs from the bookstore to earn some money for the household, though my mother never takes a cent from me. I need to save for a rainy day. I can't ask my mother for money for trivial things like writing love letters. Life is already hard enough. Thinking of this, I thought of my poor father with no family estate, who still took a bunch of concubines and sired a nest of children. I also thought of my old grandmother, who acted like an empress dowager despite our poverty. And then, there was the bundle of letters Zhang Huijing returned. I glanced at the bundle stuffed under the bed. I ran over and gave it another kick. I pushed open the window and leaned on the sill to listen to the rain. The rain was silent, but my heart was full of gloom. Zhang Huijing went on a blind date. That girl was very satisfied with him. Was he satisfied with her too? I rubbed my face hard with my hands, feeling a tightness in my chest. Having a crush on someone is so difficult. Miss, would you like some sweet rice balls? She placed a steaming bowl of rice balls on the desk. The steam carried a strong scent of osmanthus and the sweet aroma of honey. I scooped one up and popped it into my mouth. It was black sesame and walnut filling. One taste. And I knew my mother made them. She doesn't say it out loud, but she cares for me. She was afraid I hadn't eaten dinner and would go to bed hungry. I'll just find some man and get married to get it over with. I muttered to Chennying. Miss, you're talking nonsense again. If the madam hears you, she'll definitely chase you with that stick again. My mother just wants me to get married. The madam wants you to find a good home. If she wanted to just get rid of you, why would she wait until today? She was absolutely right. And because of that, I felt even more depressed. Don't worry, Mississippi. Someone might come to propose in a few days. You can take your time and choose then. The heavy rain lasted all night and I stayed up all night too. My mother saw the dark circles under my eyes and came to comfort me as Princess Baomei. I'll definitely find someone who suits your heart. Don't worry, don't worry. I didn't dare tell her that I actually didn't sleep all night because I was thinking about what the girl on Zhang Huijin's date looked like. If she wasn't as pretty as me, then he must be blind. The princess was truly worried about my marriage. Since the spring outing failed, she organized another social gathering. It was a banquet on the princess's double-deck boat. She invited musicians and dancers for poetry and wine. This time, it said all the famous young masters of Yendu were there. Among them was Xiao Qilong. The princess called out to him. A gentleman in blue stood up. Young Master Xiao looked proper and had elegant manners. I looked at him, but my gaze secretly drifted to Zhang Huijin next to him. He was wearing his usual large-sleeved robe, white inside, with a black gauzy outer layer. He wore a white belt with cloud patterns. Everyone else was in formal wear, but he insisted on being different. A grown man, spending all his salary on clothes and grooming. 11th Miss. The princess called me again. I had no choice but to stand up, frustrated by the princess's matchmaking style. Who matchmakes so blatantly like this? You two go for a walk outside. I obeyed submissively. My eyes drifted to Zhang Huijin again. I saw him pick up his wine cup, looking very dashing. I followed Xiao Qilong out of the cabin. The weather was nice. There was a gentle breeze. The Yan River was shimmering. Small boats of all kinds were on the water, selling wine, selling flowers, selling snacks, all sorts of things. Xiao Qilong looked at me, his eyes full of smiles. We had met once before, at my brother's wedding feast. He's from Prince Zhao's family. Unlike other noble sons, he opened an inn at Dongshan. Dongshan has different scenery in every season, and several hot spring pools. I heard his inn is a great success. Do you think my aunt is being a bit too blatant? His smile made him lose his formal air, and seem very approachable. I nodded. It's because I'm incompetent that the princess has to worry. You have quite an interesting personality. He laughed again. Aside from my sister-in-law, you're the first person to call me interesting. I said it very seriously. Does the surname Xiao come with some kind of superpower? Can everyone named Xiao see through a dull exterior to an interesting soul? I wasn't trying to flatter him. It was just the honest truth. Not everyone is like Zhang Huijin. There are also gentle and considerate masters who can speak so kindly. I smiled slightly. Let's not waste the princess's intentions. Since we're out here, we might as well talk. Shall we? I nodded. I truly have no experience with men. I didn't know what to talk about. What do you usually do at home? He leaned back against the railing very casually and asked a difficult question. Eat, sleep, read, write, zone out, and argue with my mother. I confessed. Xiao Qilong's eyes lit up, and he burst out laughing. Interesting, interesting. You really are a lot of fun. He thought I was interesting. Probably because he'd never met anyone like me. Jiayan. Erwan. Why did you all come out too? Jiayan is Zhang Huijin's cousin. I turned and gave a very perfunctory greeting. A lady was following behind Zhang Huijin. A beauty of the world. So, this is the type Zhang Huijin likes. Zhang Huijin also glanced over at me. He stopped not far from me. The princess sent us to buy wine. Since he was close, I could see his ears were bright red. Was it because he was alone with Jianyang and felt shy? I looked at the smiling Jianyang, feeling a pang of bitterness. Jianyang really does have a good personality. She pointed at a flower boat on the river for me to see. 11th sister, the pomegranate flowers on that boat are so red. Should we call them over? She gave a sweet smile. Her eyes like crescent moons. She was in the prime of her youth. Very likable, no matter how you look at her. I felt guilty for resenting her, and repeatedly reminded myself in my heart that Jianyang had done nothing wrong. It's just that the man I like doesn't like me, he prefers her. Thinking about it like that only made me feel worse. My temper really is terrible. But that eye roll was caught right by him. He actually gave me a smile. Was it mockery? I really wanted to headbutt him right in the stomach and push him straight into the river. Make him lose all face, and see if Jianyang still likes him then. The boatwoman rowed the boat closer. Jeonyang and I picked some pomegranate flowers to hold. The pomegranates were beautiful. Like a cluster of red silk. With your looks, miss. An average man really couldn't handle you. Look at this Xiao Qilong. He's definitely a smooth talker. 11th sister is indeed stunning. Jeonyang looked at me with a smile. Her eyes full of sincerity. Zhang Huijin's brow was locked tight. His gaze at Xiao Qilong was like daggers. He was taller. And the pressure he gave when looking down was terrifying. Xiao Qilong was stunned on the spot. He looked at Zhang Huijin. Then at me. He seemed to realize some secret. Hey, look down. That stubborn temper of yours. When will you ever change it? Zhang Huijin simply remained silent. Jeonyang stopped talking too. After a moment of tension, she managed an awkward smile. And ran off. I'll go buy a jar of wine. I stared at Zhang Huijin foolishly. Why did he suddenly upset Jeonyang? Thinking back to when I was little, I wondered if I should use my iron head skill to push him right into the river. I gritted my teeth. I hunched over and charged at him. I hated that he was being so deep with me. I was originally just joking around with him. And didn't use any force at all. I didn't even think my head touched him. Yet he actually tumbled back and fell into the river. I leaned over the side of the boat to look down, watching him flailing in the water. I realized with horror that he couldn't swim. My head buzzed. I was completely stunned. I flipped over and jumped into the river, grabbing his arm and pulling him up. On the surface of the river, several boatwomen extended poles. I grabbed a pole and pulled him onto a small wine boat. He collapsed on the boat. A worker went to report it. The princess looked over from the big boat. It was crowded with people. Zhang Huijin was lying on the small boat, his face pale and covered in water droplets. I hid behind him, helping him by patting his back. My legs were weak, and I wanted to ask how he was. But my throat was so tight I couldn't make a sound. He coughed several times. Spitting out 2 mouthfuls of river water, he gave a faint smile. His dark eyes, washed by water, seemed even brighter. He reached back and pulled me into his arms. My whole body went stiff, shaking like a leaf. Your clothes are too thin. I was stunned for a moment. The moment I understood, my face turned bright red. I buried my head deep into his chest. Too ashamed to see anyone, but he held me tighter. And smiled. The small boat sent us back to the shore. The princess's big boat also docked. Chenying wrapped me in a cloak and took me to a cabin. She helped me get settled. And I changed into dry clothes. I slowly regained my senses. I touched my head and thought back repeatedly. I really hadn't hit Zhang Huijin earlier. But he fell in. So how did he fall into the river? To avoid me? But he didn't back away at all. When I charged at him, he just flipped over the railing and fell. Miss, you were too impulsive. There were so many sailors on the boat. And all of them can swim. Why did you have to go save him yourself? We're doomed now. There's no explaining this away. Chenying looked at me with a dark expression, both pitying and helpless. I sighed. This time, I'm definitely caught. Chenying told my mother and sister-in-law about me saving Zhang Huijin. My mother hit me twice. But the corners of her mouth were turned up. You little rascal with the heart of a lion. Don't you even know fear? My mother checked me over from head to toe. I panicked then. And didn't think that much. That afternoon, the princess came to propose in person. Zhang Huijin and his mother were right behind her. My mother wouldn't let me show my face, afraid my big mouth would ruin things. So I sent Chenying to eavesdrop. Chenying came back with a glowing face. Miss, Princess Baomei, your marriage with Master San has been settled. I had already expected this. The master you've been dreaming about is already yours. Why don't you look happy at all? How could I explain it to Chenying? I didn't want Zhang Huijin to marry me just because of some propriety nonsense. I wanted him to marry me because he truly wanted to. Now look at this. It was just an accident. But it turned everything upside down. Things have already come to this. There was no chance for me to speak up. Since the princess herself was the matchmaker. Everyone in the family, except me, was overjoyed. Even my brother, hearing I was to marry Zhang Huijin, said good 3 times. This Zhang Huijin is truly a talented young man, a dragon among men. He's been in various departments these years. And now he's a favorite in the censorate. He's not afraid to impeach any official. Everyone is afraid of him. I rubbed my sleeve silently. My brother rubbed my head. Our 11th sister should marry such a fine man. Time was short. And the ceremonies were all set for the same day. Naturally, there was nothing for me to do. The sun wasn't too bright outside. I sat in the yard flipping through a book. The maids had all gone to the front to watch the fun. The yard was extremely quiet. The green plums on the tree weren't ripe yet. A bird from somewhere was stealing them. I thought it was amusing. So I ran over and stood under the tree to watch. It's a good thing you don't have teeth, or they'd be set on edge by the sourness. The bird wasn't afraid. And continued pecking the green plums. Do you think it's fun? The bird flapped its wings and flew away. I stumbled back and managed to stand firm. You scared my bird away. I muttered a bit petulantly. How did it become your bird? He pressed his hand on my head. I tilted my head to look at him. He looked so smug, it was annoying. It's probably not right for you to barge into the backyard. I sat back on the stone stool in a huff, and quickly packed up the books on the table. Your brother and sister-in-law invited me. Did you open the bundle I returned? I threw it under the bed. I even kicked it further back with my foot. I confessed honestly. His expression shifted. And the smile on his face vanished completely. Why didn't you look at it? I didn't want to. Why not? You wouldn't understand. Are you like this with other men too? How can you be the same as other men? What exactly is the difference? I stammered and remained silent. He was just playing dumb. I've never written love letters to anyone else. Not to mention how explicit the content was. I didn't need to pretend around him anymore. As the saying goes, I've already lost all face. He pulled a small box from his sleeve and placed it in front of me. I had admired many pieces of jewelry in the shops. Among them was a pair of earrings. Silver hooks with 2 thumb-sized pearls. They were extremely lustrous. I am also very fair. I felt they were a perfect match for me. But Feng Yun said I looked radiant. And such plain pearls wouldn't suit me. In the end, I couldn't bring myself to buy them. No, it wasn't because they didn't suit me. It was because the 6 taels in my pocket couldn't match the price. It was exactly the same as one of the letters I had written to him before, word for word. I clutched my chest and stared at him. I really hadn't expected that not only did he read my love letters, he actually remembered that. Open it and see. My heart was thrown into a complete state of panic. Everything was out of my control. I opened that exquisite and unique box. Inside, 2 earrings lay quietly. They were the same pearl earrings I had seen, but couldn't afford. I stared blankly, my eyes turning red. I thought that what I had missed would be gone forever. Are you crying again? He reached out his hand, then pulled it back awkwardly, not knowing what to do. I really didn't mean to make you cry. I wiped away my tears. Why did you give me these? He lowered his long eyelashes and fell silent. I took off the silver earrings I was wearing and put on the ones he gave me. Look, don't they suit me perfectly? I tilted my head. The pearls swayed back and forth by my ears. He watched me quietly. After a moment, he finally replied with a soft MHM. His neck and ears turned red right before my eyes. To think that over these 3 or 4 years, I'd used so many bold words to tease such an innocent young master. Good heavens, I am truly sinful. I lowered my head in shame. I lost the courage to look at him again. I'll head out first. I'll take you for sliced raw fish after work tomorrow. Stuttering, he stood up. He gave a proper bow. Before I could even return the gesture, he hurried out the door in a panic. I got up and chased him for a few steps. I leaned against the doorframe to watch him. I ran back into the room. I pulled the bundle from under the bed and set it on the table. I opened the bundle and counted them. Inside were 82 letters, neatly stacked. Exactly as many as I had written to him. Only, the wax seals on the envelopes were stamped with Jia Yen. My heart thumped wildly in my chest. Without any regard for my well-being, I opened the first one in chronological order. During the Cold Food Festival when I was 21, I wrote him my first letter. The joy of receiving your letter is like seeing you in person. Like you, miss. I don't like cold food either. My mother always complains that I'm cold and heartless. Just like cold food. I replied to my mother, perhaps you ate too many cold dishes while pregnant with me. That you gave birth to someone like me. My mother hit me and told me to beat it. So I listened to her and went for a stroll on the street. A maid stopped me just then. She stuffed a letter into my arms and ran off. In a blink, I looked at the end of the long street, but she was already out of sight. Then I saw you walking from the street corner. The peach blossoms were vibrant, but they couldn't compare to your beauty even a little. Just like when we first met, you dazzled my eyes. I licked away a tear from the corner of my mouth. I started looking through the others, until I reached the very last one. Are you unwell, miss? If you are, then the cure is for me to paint your brows. I take everything you say seriously. Once I pick an auspicious day, I will ask my mother to send a matchmaker to propose marriage.